Illinois faces some big challenges. Today, you're about to hear a truly honest analysis of the problems we face. Equally important, you'll also hear an in-depth discussion of some practical solutions. This is your radio source for stories, the insight, and the answers you won't hear anywhere else, not in the media, and not coming from Springfield. You're listening to Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project. Now, here's your host, AM 560's Dan Proft.
Welcome to a special election edition of Illinois Rising. I'm Dan Proft, co-host of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, weekdays 5 to 9 a.m. with Amy Jacobson. This is our closing argument show as we're less than 48 hours away from Election Day, and a lot at stake in the state of Illinois if we're going to change the trajectory of the state and stop the exodus. Key state legislative races. Yes, there's the governor's race and attorney general and other statewide offices and key congressional races. And those are all relevant and important. But as we know, anybody who's been paying attention, as I think sort of has seeped into the public's gray matter at this point, if you don't change out Mike Madigan, you don't change the future of the state of Illinois. And you can't change out Mike Madigan if you keep electing Democrats in the suburbs, re-electing the current ones and electing new ones. And so there are important suburban races, and we're going to hear from the candidates on this closing argument show. First up is Marilyn Smolenski, who is challenging incumbent Marty Moylan in the Park Ridge, Des Plaines, Elk Grove Village area of northwest suburban Cook County. You know Marty Moylan. When you say, or we say, or I say, Marty Moylan is a Madigan cheerleader, I don't mean that figuratively, like he votes the way Madigan does, or votes the way Madigan demands, although he does that. I don't mean that he just takes money and does Madigan's bidding and says nice things about Madigan, though that is also true. I mean he literally leads cheers for Mike Madigan. I mean, it's just rather remarkable in an era where most suburban Democrats are at least trying to convey that they're independent of Mike Madigan because he is so toxic in Illinois because of his 40 years of rulership. Marty Moylan is literally leading cheers in Springfield for this guy while taking $900,000, well, actually upwards of more than $1 million from him. So joining us now is Marilyn Smolenski, who is challenging him in a tightly fought competitive race. Marilyn making her first run for office. Marilyn, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So, frame the race for us 48 hours out. What's the choice for voters in Park Ridge, Des Plaines, and Elk Grove?
Yes, so when you were just playing that, it made me think, my opponent thinks that when he's talking to voters, that they're not paying attention to what he's doing down in Springfield, like leading this chair for Madigan. I mean, he's taken at this point, it was $981,000 that he's taken from Madigan, but then he just took another $610,000 from Mike Madigan to run a commercial saying that he's not getting money from Madigan. So,
right.
That's rich in itself.
Right.
And that's exactly what's wrong with Springfield. I mean, he's hoping that we're not paying attention.
But
we are.
And so as you talk to people, do you have to perhaps assist them with having the scales fall from their eyes about Moylan? And then what are you suggesting you represent, particularly against the backdrop of all the negative ads that everybody's seen Moylan run against you, saying you're some sort of toady of the NRA and opponent of children's safety and all of these other things?
Yeah, I mean, those attack ads make me sick, but, whenever I've knocked on doors, talking to people at the train, standing at early voting, I mean, I've spoken to thousands upon thousands of people since January, and I didn't even have a primary, but I've been out walking since January. So I've met countless amounts of people at community events, making calls, things like that. And the number one issue, quite frankly, is property taxes. I mean, you know that. I mean, you talk about it all the time on this show. You know that it's the number one reason for out-migration. And when I tell people that I'm running to save your home and we sit and discuss the 1% property tax cap, everything else falls away. Everything. They become excited, they're upbeat, and they're ready for a change, and they've become very supportive of my campaign. So he can run those negative attack ads if he wants. People are just trying to blow them off and are trying to focus on what's important. And what's important is saving our homes.
And with respect to, with respect to your personal story too, I mean, people want to kind of get a feel for the person that they're voting for. Moylan's sort of a known quantity, although maybe the full picture of him hadn't come into focus until your run against him. But for you, you've been very forthright about your business, which is in providing training for women so that they can be safe. There's a commercial running right now that I put up actually through my PAC of a domestic abuse survivor who took a training course with you and really enjoyed it and feels more safe and more confident as a result of partnering with you on these issues. That's an important part of what you bring to the table as well, is that experience that you turned into a business that's part of your value proposition and your policy agenda as a legislator.
Right. I mean, I saw that ad and it was just so, it was so touching and so heartfelt and real. You know, that was a woman who I met at a class, and she had similar experiences to me, and we really bonded over that. And we've actually become really close friends over the years. And I become close friends with a lot of people that I work with because you have experienced the same things, and you can really connect on a deeper level. And I think that people really see that and understand that and know that I have good intentions and that I'm running to help them as well. And I want to go down and not only work on a 1% hard cap, but also look at changing the culture of Springfield. We have such an abuse of power that's run rampant, and sexual harassment claims, and just really getting down there and working to change the culture in Springfield. And I think people understand that I'm coming from a good place and that I want to help them.
I know you're no babe in the woods, but this is your first run for office, and it's always surprising, even if you fully brace yourself for all of the ugliness of politics. And I wonder what has been the most surprising or unnerving even thing with respect to your candidacy.
You know, I get letters here at home, and just the different types of people that I've met. You know, there are so many people in our district, and it's so diverse, and it's so wonderful to get out and have a chance to meet people that I otherwise would not have met. And develop these bonds and relationships with these people. So it's really, really wonderful. But the letters that I get at home saying, hey, listen, you came to my door and I normally don't vote, but I'm going to now. You know, you're really touching people at home. You're really striking a nerve. And we just want to thank you for putting yourself out there and putting your life on hold to help us. And that's been, it just makes it all worth it.
You're a Republican candidate for this office. One of the things that's come into the fore in that district over the last couple of cycles that was sort of non-existent prior to that is the local Maine Township Republican organization. How important has it been to have a local Republican organization and the township committeemen and precinct workers to help support your campaign?
Well, you know, we've got a great community person here, great support. I'm working actually with, we've got Elk Grove Township, we've got Maine Township, so we've got different leaders in these different organizations, and they've been detrimental in getting the word out and getting supporters and getting volunteers to go out and walk with us every weekend, and it's just been really wonderful to have their support.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where this is also should be a learning experience to people who aren't necessarily on the ballot but are involved in the party or want to be or would like the party to be better. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every cycle if you have local infrastructure, and in your neck of the woods in Maine Township, at least, you do have that local infrastructure, and that may end up being the determining factor in your race.
Yeah, it's been great to have that local support, like I said, and there are people who have just joined recently as volunteers that say, hey, listen, I want to get more involved in politics, and I think I may eventually want to run, so I want to see what's going on in your campaign. So you're absolutely right. People are coming to learn and to help.
There was a piece this week in the Chicago Tribune by Kristen McQuarrie about how conservative women are personas non grata with respect to the Me Too movement. And if you really want a unified movement on behalf of women, particularly women who've been mistreated in the workplace or otherwise, then you have to be open-minded to conservative women. She was talking about it generally. I would talk about it even within the Republican Party in this state. What did you think of the argument that she made and the importance of being inclusive of conservative women if you want to talk about women's issues or you want to talk about the Me Too movement?
Yeah, I mean, Me Too has no boundaries, right? I mean, it doesn't just affect Democrat women, independent women. It affects Republican women. It affects people who aren't involved in politics at all. I mean, it affects everyone and of all ages. So we absolutely have to be inclusive and make sure that we're taking everyone seriously. And look, I'm being attacked by my opponent, saying, different things, that I'm a gun nut, or I'm this or I'm that, or trying to make me out as I'm anti-woman. The last, I want to say 5 or 6 ads have just literally had himself saying that he's backed by Planned Parenthood and that I'm anti-woman, that I will make a woman a criminal if she gets an abortion. And, all of these things that I've never said. I'm a first-time candidate. I've never voted on these topics. I've never made public comments about some of these things that they're basically putting words in my mouth. So I'm being attacked by the other side, and no one's coming to my defense on it, So, yes, I think we need to be more inclusive because it affects everyone.
The website, Marilyn, for staterep.com. She is Marilyn Smolenski, Republican nominee for state legislative seat in the Park Ridge, Des Plaines, and Elk Grove area. If you're looking for if you live in that area and you're looking for who your choices are for the state legislative seat, running against incumbent Democrat Madigan cheerleader Marty Moylan. Marilyn, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck on Tuesday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.